My name's Zach Plopper. I am Associate Director of an organization called Wild Coast. We're an international team based in California and Mexico that conserves coastal marine ecosystems and addresses climate change through natural solutions. I'm going to be moderating this panel, and I'm going to be up here for a long time because I'm also moderating and presenting in our climate change panel later on. So I'm not going to blab on too much because you'll get sick of me pretty quickly. But if I could have Jonathan Clark, Jean Nativel, and Holly Richmond come up, please. So we're going to be shifting gears now to something that has crossed every single person's mind that's probably ever been in the ocean before, and those are sharks. There are different experiences around the world. We've had our own this last year in California. I know you have had yours here several years ago down the coast, pretty intense period. And then we also have representation from Reunion Island, which, for those of you that might know, has had a pretty rough go with sharks and interactions in the ocean. So with that, we'll start with you guys. And so Holly and Jonathan, take it away. And then we'll have Jean on the Reunion Island perspective.
My name's Jonathan Clark, and I'm the coordinator of Sea Shepherd's Apex Harmony campaign, Apex Harmony being our shark defence campaign.
All right, so Jean Nativel from Reunion Island is now going to share a different experience.
So, hello everybody. My name is Jean Nativel. I'm a PE teacher, a national bodyboard champion, a waterman for 35 years, as a swimmer, surfer, and spear fisherman. In 2011, following a shark attack in the heart of our main sea resort, I joined a fishing expedition to find the bull shark responsible. This caused a lot of controversy, which led me to my struggle for shark mitigation. Then followed 9 years of fighting, in which I personally became involved. I found the first Réunion Shark Attack Prevention Society, Océan Prevention Réunion. My objective was to maintain access to the sea in Réunion. I'm not a marine biologist or academic, but through my relentless study, many people consider me as a specialist. This is the tragic story of my book. For more than 6 years, it has been illegal to go into the ocean in Réunion Island. Today I offer a short presentation. I have done 2 more complete conferences in English about shark attack around the world. I invite you to consult them if you wish to deep in within this subject. If I have taken this long road from Réunion Island, it is because the public policy of each country interact. It is not possible to speak of sustainable surfing without addressing the sensitive issue of shark attack. Australia is a model of shark risk mitigation, and today this model is threatened by an ideology which places human as the enemy of the planet and the animal as is equal, sea is superior. Hypocritically, it is believed that the future of the ocean, of humanity, and even global warming would depend on the end of public risk reduction policy. However, they are fundamental for preserving human life and the seaside economy. All this focus on a few fish caught on popular beaches makes the business of industrial fishing. Yet sharks are not fished around the world because of their bad image, but rather for their meat. 76 million sharks are fished each year for food and less 2,000 for mitigation. Australia, South Africa, and Réunion Island. What if accepting the death of a few hundred sharks for mitigation could reduce the number of attacks, improve the image of sharks, and lead in return to protect millions more? This is the Réunion mitigation policy. A broad mitigation policy has been put in place in response to the fight led by the Prevention Association in Réunion Island. And one of the aspects is the use of smart drumline, which can target and kill dangerous shark and keep bycatch alive. In addition to the targeted fishing program, a total ban of the fishing of 5 reef shark species was introduced in February 2015. The aim was to restore an unbalanced ecosystem due to an excessive bull shark presence. In Réunion, about 400 very large tiger shark and bull shark have been killed by smart drumline since 2011. The dishonest hypocrite claims that fishing was useless as the attack continued. But how many more deaths would there have been if this program had not happened? 5 deaths, 10 deaths more. We have 11 fatalities since 2011 in Réunion Island. Securing by non-lethal barrier nets was attempted in 2016. But as these beaches are in a MPA, impossible to deploy a threat by fishing. Bull shark attacked twice inside the net and put an end to this project, who cost about $8 million, Australian dollars. About Australia, I'm not Australian, but I'm very interested in your situation. You are a country with a big water sport culture. The ocean have been part of your life for more than a century, as seen on this photo of the 30s. The water sport culture is very strong in this region, and its shark mitigation policy is strongly reflected by the way its beaches are protected, with 84 beaches protected by drumline and nets. An example of the drumline positioning just behind the surfers. In Réunion Island, there is a big controversy around the fact that the drumline bait attracts sharks close to the coast. This photo shows that 50 years of experiences of shark mitigation through the use of drumline proves that it's false. Looking at the capture figure, we see that the number of shark caught have been unaffected year after year. 100 bull shark and around 200 tiger shark shows that these shark species look resistant to fishing effort. These shark prevention measures are successful, as indicated by the Australian Environmental Authority in 2017. There have been no shark fatalities in the area where the program has been operating since 1962. In New South Wales, only 1 fatal shark attack since the start of this program on protected beaches, and no fatal attack in the last 60 years. But more shark attacks now on non-protected beaches, for example, Ballina. The New Age approach suggests a dreamy, peaceful cohabitation between prey and predator. This caused doubt about the program's policy after a lot of protests in Australia. The only thing that seems acceptable now everywhere in Australia is the smart drumline, as they are non-lethal. Smart drumline were invented by David and Christopher, my friend, and launched in January 2014 in Réunion. My 2 friends came to present them in Australia in December 2015. The smart drumline were invented to meet the need for selectivity of catch, avoid bycatch, an essential condition for using a fishing gear within a marine protected area. Since the interest of the Australians for this invention, which had not been properly patented by the reunionnaise inventor, the Spanish supplier directly supplied the state of New South Wales, which began using it in 2016 only to tag and release dangerous sharks. Since then, no less than 400 sharks have been tagged since 2016, especially in the north of the state of New South Wales. Similarly, on the Great Reef Barrier, following a recent court decision, 166 classic lethal drumline were removed to be replaced by smart drumline. Despite the obvious and political common sense, emotion seems to take precedent over reason in Australia. Australia risks being faced with a time bomb. Is tagging a mitigation solution or a political tool? Tagging traumatized sharks. External tag deteriorate over time, and internal tag can cause negative effect towards the fish with lithium battery. Other theory in Australia wonder about the aggravating factor around behavioral change, such as the cowbell effect, warning the weights, and to get them to be interested in unusual animals such as human. And there is the problem of the real-time alert and evacuation. Will the victim be the slowest to get out of the water, the youngest, the oldest? Too many tagged sharks will lead to too much reports and therefore a trivialization and disinterest. The signal emitted by the shark can be distorted by the swell, the underwater relief. Tagged shark can be present without being spotted. And finally, the tag have a limited lifespan of 2 years, 2 to 4 years, while the life expectancy of shark exceeds 30 years. All these constraints and problems indicate that tagging is not a sufficient solution. What future? Is it possible to imagine that the number of sharks will drop while the effort to protect sharks increase, especially at the popular beach in roughly Western country, where NGOs looking for donation and notoriety have the most influence and support, not in a poor country for sure. The Ocean have been banned for more than 6 years, and there are still hundreds of Ocean users who continued despite the ban in Réunion Island. 2 days ago, on February 10, 2020, the prefect pronounced the 10th successive provisional bathing and surfing ban since July 2013. An unfair decision, part of the logic of French law, which deprives us of our rights and our fundamental freedoms. 5 fatal shark attacks were recorded in 2019 worldwide, and 2 were in Réunion Island despite the Ocean ban. This is our beach. It was my mother and my 2 sisters at the 70s, and this is my beach now. And this is the marine area who take place on all the popular beaches in Réunion Island since 13 years. In Iceland, where the love of the ocean have been criminalized, where elected officials cannot swim, our future now depends on political commitment, and maybe the same in Australia, we don't know. Many are here at the Global Surf Conference to talk about surf reserves. I fight just to preserve surf culture in Réunion, a surfing event. Thank you for your listening. This is 11 people who die with shark attacks since 2011 in our small piece of land, and I'm taking care about human, and I'm taking care about nature too. Thank you very much for all.
Thank you, Jean.
Hi everyone, so my name is Holly. So basically I am a qualified marine biologist. Over the last 4 years I've been helping research humpback whales, monitoring their migration and behaviour patterns past the Gold Coast, so the east coast of Australia. And through that research, there's whale entanglements have come up throughout our research. So hands up if anybody's seen on the news a humpback whale entanglement in a shark net, if you've seen on the news. Yep. So it's something that we're all aware of, and it's something that we do often see on the news, but it's taking that little bit step further and really understanding what exactly is happening. So when I was learning lots and studying humpback whales, I learned a little bit about these shark nets, and I wanted to know a little bit more of exactly, okay, why are these nets harming these animals and they're disrupting their migration? So I wanted to learn a lot more. So I did a lot of research, and then I took the initiative to go out and document exactly what's being caught in the shark nets themselves. So we saw a lot of statistics up on the screen earlier, and I basically made this film, a 30-minute documentary, to give these statistics a little bit more life, to show you that they're a little bit more than just a statistic. Each individual animal that does pass in these nets is another animal that we have lost. So obviously human safety comes first with everything. But I just want to remind you guys, we've spoken a lot about sharks and shark attacks, and it's important that we sort of try and steer that word attack away and sort of use the more appropriate term by saying shark bite. So a majority of shark bite incidents are single bite events. So I think by using the word attack is a little bit too harsh for what we're talking about here. But just a reminder, because we are talking a lot about sharks, each year there's about 100 million swims in Australia. So that might be people who might go for a swim once a week or maybe once a month, and also counts for people that go surfing every single day. And in Australia, we have about 1 to 2 fatalities each year from a shark incident. So just letting you know that this is a really, really rare event that happens. But we do want to help protect people a little bit further and help reduce that statistic even more by looking at ways that we can protect swimmers and also protect our marine life and not destroy the beautiful ecosystem that we have out there. So this film took 2 years to make. It was a 1.5 years of documenting the animals in the shark nets. So I've put this film together to help educate people of the general public, people who might be questioning it. So I encourage you guys to sort of keep an open mind, sit back and relax, and hopefully don't enjoy this film too much, but definitely you guys can help me in spreading that awareness and message towards other people as well. So we can start playing that film now. Thanks.
So I'd just like to start off by paying my respects to the Yugambeh people, the traditional owners of the land around where we meet tonight, and pay my respect to their elders past, present and future, and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who may be here today. I recognise that Aboriginal people lived in the area for millennia in harmony with the land and waters and continue to do so. And I think those points are well worth just taking a moment to have a think about. So to introduce Apex Harmony, I'd just like to run a 1-minute video just to let you know who we are and what we've been up to. Thank you, and apologies. I probably should have mentioned that the nature of the presentations that I tend to do will have confronting images, etc. in them. But moving along, I just wanted to show you as briefly as I can. My talks usually go for quite longer than I'm going to spend with you today. I just want to show you briefly the sorts of things that we've been recording for the last 5 years or so in the Queensland and New South Wales shark nets and drumlines. I would normally go through all of these images and tell you the individual stories of those animals there, but I think the point's probably fairly clear up there right now. So 27 shark nets in Queensland, from Mackay south to just off the waters here at in the waters here at Coolangatta. oops, that'd be the wrong button. Okay, drum lines. Now these are probably the main item used in Queensland for the shark bite mitigation tools. And the numbers I've got crossed out up there, it's very fluid at the moment because there's a lot of things happening in this space. We've recently had a court case mounted by HSI against the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority and the Queensland Government, which was successful. The appeal backed the courts and the scientists in removing a whole lot of drum lines from the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park, but they are now going back in, and that's a whole nother story. But the latest moves, there is some cautious optimism around what's happening because we think that there is some move towards non-lethals. Of course, it's not as fast as we would like. But as you can see, there's a whole range of different animals that are caught in Queensland shark nets and drum lines, and you can see just what is happening there. So it's pretty graphic stuff there. The image up on the top right-hand corner there is one I took when I followed a contractor out from Bundaberg with a tiger shark that had been hanging on a drum line for well over 30 hours. I watched him drag that shark by its tail for over an hour out to sea, whereupon he took that shark, which was still alive at the time, and shot it with a power head, cut it open, took the liver out, sunk it. All that in front of our Sea Shepherd crew. Moving on, one of the outcomes of the changes in the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park that have come about through the process of the reissue of the permit in 2017, through to the court case that was appealed and lost by the Queensland Government in this year. Instead of having the 19 targeted species across the whole system, in the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park, it's now down to 3 species: tigers, whites and bulls. And the new permit doesn't allow them to kill those animals. They're to be tagged and released. But the rest of Queensland, including right here off the Gold Coast, it's still the 19 shark species that they target, and those animals are killed when they're found on the drum lines, regardless of size. And there's a list of those species there. And if you have a look at those species, there's very few of those species that have ever been implicated in shark bite incidences. Okay, so I've just shown you those the effect of the shark nets and drum lines that are imposed on us with our government system, with our taxpayer money on our behalf for our recreation in the ocean and for tourism. I want to stop and have you imagine if, instead of drum lines and shark nets, which we don't believe the science demonstrates any effect in making beaches safer, what if we had, instead of that, a whole lot of viable non-lethal methods? And before I go through this, I want to point out that one of the problems that we've got in this space is that government and a whole lot of members of the public, not everyone, but there's enough out there that makes this a problem, seem to hold the expectation of non-lethal shark bite mitigation techniques to the expectation that they'll be 100% effective. We keep hearing that about personal protection devices, barrier devices, and drone technology, etc., which are the main ones that we'd be advocating. But that expectation is not held for shark nets and drum lines because you haven't got any science that demonstrates that 100% effectiveness or any effectiveness. So let's have a look. At the top of our list that we think should be rolled out in beaches in Queensland and New South Wales are drones. And this is an amazing range of technologies that's been around long enough now and proven well enough now, it should be in at our beaches now. Now, it's happening in some places in New South Wales. There are fair controls being put on by the government down there. We've got not much of it happening here in Queensland. These machines have got artificial intelligence software in it that can help an operator identify sharks in the water, that can help them identify them against other animals and alert a human spotter and help make decisions about whether we should get people out of the water or not in various situations. There's a whole lot of other advantages of drones too. They can deploy life-saving equipment, and it's been demonstrated to do so and has been effective. We had a case in Lennox last year, or was it maybe the year before, where life rings were deployed and helped save some people who were drowning. Imagine, you know, one of the problems you've got when sharks are spotted and people are pulled out of the water, it's the old question of when do you let people back in? Is it 3 hours? Is it 12 hours? Is it the next day? You've got a drone out there spotting, shark's gone, let people back in. What a great big win for our tourist areas. You know, we can demonstrate the coverage and we can let people back into the water with confidence. I think those things should have huge investment, especially here Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, in our Queensland southern waters. You've got enough clarity on enough days to make them absolutely effective. Not so much up in North Queensland where you've got pretty murky waters. I've been up there checking drum lines and you can see 50 centimetres into the water. It's not real flash up around Cairns. So that's not the solution everywhere, but I think it's a pretty good one. The next one, education. This one, I'm actually moved to the point of putting that at the top of the list. That's got to be the number one thing, and it's not got to be just pamphlets to people on boats, signs on beaches. It's got to be a lot more comprehensive and a lot more depth to it across our whole country to everyone, including our visitors. Barrier technology. Western Australia, there's enough people here from Western Australia who know about Eco Shark Barrier. Now, not a technology for surfers, but certainly for swimming areas. That is probably the one that in the right conditions can give you close to 100% certainty. Personal protection devices, I know there's a lot of stuff about this, but there are some positives there. I would always put the caveat on this and everything else that we advocate. The science has to back it. And then there's a whole lot of other technologies around that we should be open to. And there's one from South Africa pictured there at the moment, the artificial kelp field, which brings in a whole range of other technologies. I think we have got a long way to go in bringing in the non-lethal technologies, but there's a start, and that's the message that I'm trying to get through to government in a positive way. Thank you very much. I'm going to hand over to Holly shortly, and I'm happy to take questions afterwards. Cheers.
Thank you, Jonathan.